And how important is, I mean, writing something on your profile? Because I see with straight end game, man, like nobody writes anything anymore. Like, why is that important? And like, why is that important to have something on your profile?
You know, this is really telling, and I coach guys on this, and I coach them to look out for profiles that don't have anything written on it.
Why is that?
Because oftentimes, and you know, this is true on both the guy side and the girl side, but since like 80% of my clientele is guys, I kind of stick with them on this, and that is a lot of women, and a lot of guys too, but a lot of women will use Tinder and will use Bumble just to get the likes, just to get validated, right? They have no intention of seeing anybody on that app, right? They just like having guys right swipe on them, right? It gives them a little bit of boost. It gives them a little ego boost. And you know, this is true for guys too. I have known people, this is no lie, I have known people in relationships, right, who have gone on to Tinder and Bumble and started, you know, swiping, and have had people swipe on them. And these people have no intention of you know, actually being their partner, but they just want that validation.
Wow.
And what I tell guys, and I find this to be very true, because I was on Tinder for close to 3 years. I had dated hundreds of women off of Tinder, and I noticed a lot of patterns, right? When a woman does not have anything written in her profile, there's a good chance, it's not always the case, but it's a very good chance that either A, the profile is fake, or B, she's just using it for attention, or C, she may not be using it for attention, but she's just not serious about finding someone.
Wow.
So I can always tell the girls who are more serious about finding somebody, because they will actually put in the effort to write something about themselves in the bio.
Wow.
So as tempting as it may be, and I say this to guys, as tempting as it may be to just swipe right endlessly on these girls who are very good looking but have nothing in their bio, you might want to think about swiping left, or you might just want to brace yourself and shield yourself that even if you swipe right, you're probably not going to hear from her, right? Because she's probably not that serious.
Right. Wow. I didn't know that. Well, that's good to know. And so, like, what are some things that men should say? Like, I know you mentioned like telling story. Like, what are some things that, I guess, from your experience or with your clients, what do you tell them to say? Like, what do you tell them to stay with? What do you tell them to stay away from? Because I remember there's a book called How She Broke the Internet and Dating Site, where like one of the things she mentioned, like, to stay away from negative talk on your website, on your profile, and stay away from people who have negative talk on their profile. So what are some of the things that men should like talk about, or like call interest, or may that will spark interest? One trick I usually tell my guys to do is put a question in their profile, because that way you know the person hasn't read your profile and they'll answer it, because it's just like, it's so random that it's in your profile. But have something random or unique about yourself in your profile that people like, oh, well, what is that? You know what I mean? So what do you tell your guys to like to make themselves sort of stand out when they're writing copy in there or written text in their profiles?
I like how you say copy, because it goes back to the idea that you're selling yourself, and that's
right.
What online dating is. You're
really is.
Selling yourself. You are the product.
Yeah, you are.
That you are the most attractive product possible, and the ways to be like that are to, number one, as you said, avoid the negative talk at all costs. I had a guy who took really great photos, right? And he had these really cool interests, but he was so down on himself, right? And he was so down on the state of the world.
Like, will he have that in his profile, like written?
Yes. You know, he was talking about how he doesn't trust most people. He thinks most people are, you know, just not on his level intellectually. And so he's really challenged. He's like, he almost like threw it out as a challenge. Are you smart enough to be with me, right? That kind of thing. And I'm like, dude,
No.
you cannot be going into it like that. You have to go in humble. You have to go in, curious about the people that you're interested in.
Curiosity, yes.
Attitude. You can't be going in with this holier than thou, BS, like, oh, I'm so much better than you, right? That's the number one thing you can do that's going to turn people off to you, not turn people on.
Yeah.
Right? And another thing that I try to say that guys shouldn't do, and girls, by the way, is avoid what we call the laundry list. Avoid just listing a whole bunch of requirements for your partner while at the same time saying nothing about you. I say it all the time. All the time. Like, it's like they're going into a butcher shop and they're trying to order like the best piece of meat. Oh, I want 12 ounces, medium rare, and make sure it's trimmed off. And like, if you're gonna go into it like that, again, prepare to get a lot of people turned off, because these are human beings you're talking to. These are not needs, right? So avoid the laundry list. And a general rule of thumb is to do the 70-30 rule. And by that I mean 70% of your profile should be about you, right? You should be talking about yourself. You should be talking about what it's like to be with you. You should be showing, as we said earlier, all the different sides of yourself. The other 30% should be about what you're looking for, right? And when you mention what you're looking for, do not just do a list.
Yeah.
Right? Again, show what it is you're looking for, right? And be humble about it. Don't be like holier than thou. Well, if you're not 6 feet tall and you're not this and you're not that, then forget it, because you're not good enough, right? Like, that's the worst thing you could do, right? Have your preference. I'm not saying you can't have your preferences, right? Approach it with that. You're going to have a lot more pain than pleasure, let's say.
I love what you're saying, because I myself experienced of being rejected because I was too tall. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, we literally match. And because I'm only 5'10", well, 5'11" and a half, sorry. And I'm 3 feet too tall for you. I was just like, wow. It's just, I don't know, people's preferences are just out of control.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to the paradox of choice. And when we have all these options, like Tinder has like 2 million people on it, like probably just in New York. Like
probably.
Like, and when you have that much of a sample size, you can be a little bit more tailored, right? But the thing is, it's okay to have preferences. Just don't be an asshole about it.
Yeah.
Just don't lord it over people like, well, if you're not this, right? It's just gonna turn people off.
Right.
Like, I'm 6'1", right? And even I have read profiles where even if I've met the height requirement, if they're like a real jerk about the height requirement, I'm like, no, please, I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be this way about that, then my next question is, what else are you gonna be that way about?
Yeah.
Like,
I
I'm someone who's going to be friendly and who's going to be, energetic and upbeat, and that's just not the vibe I'm getting from reading the post.
Like I actually on my phone I saved this it wasn't an article, it was a post by this couple. I had the screenshot, and they both were saying how they were describing their type. Because they were married, and they were describing their type, and when they were describing their type, the other person was not it. And the post was about, if you're so strict about your type, you'll never be in love. You'll never find anyone. They were just basically saying, this is for my preference, but the woman who I fell in love with is actually what I wanted in the inside. Like, they didn't have the right hair, the body type. It wasn't that what they fell in love with. It was what the person who it was that they fell in love with. And when they stopped chasing the hair requirement, the height requirement, the body requirement, then they started to fall in love with the person. It's really about connecting with the person at the end of the day, because when the looks, the hair, whatever goes away, it's what's inside that stays, hopefully forever, that you're really falling in love with, not because he has a six pack or he has, you know, the perfect eyes or the perfect skin. You know, that's what we're really falling in love with.
And that's another mistake. And part of that is an individual mistake, and part of that is a systemic mistake, because we as a society are, you know, especially today, are placing with social media and everything like that, we're placing just an undue amount of importance just on sheer looks.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've forgotten to connect through shared values.
Yeah.
And it's the shared values that's going to make the relationship last, or that's going to cause the relationship to last 10, 20, 50 years, you know, not, oh, does he have the right hair? Or is it a 6-pack versus a 4-pack? Or something like that. You know, that stuff, it's just in terms of relationship success and whether or not this is going to be a person who's really going to get you, whether this is going to be a person who's going to stay with you for the rest of your life, that really has no bearing on it, right? So again, if your goal with online dating is to find somebody who's going to be your match, right? Find somebody who's going to be your future husband or wife. Find somebody, you know, even if you don't want to get married, just somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with in like a cohabitation sense, let's say, right? You know, you've got to be looking first and foremost at values. What do you value? And Jimmy, you would be surprised at the amount of people who I've talked to who have no idea what their own core values are.
I know. They have no clue. Like that, for me, that is one of the biggest issues with dating. Like a lot of people have not defined what they want, what they need in a relationship, and nor do they know how to bring that to the table. They're expecting the other person to have all these requirements when they themselves cannot bring it to the table for the relationship. Right.
Like you get a bunch of you know, guys with the wife beater tank top with the Cheetos stains all over it, demanding a Victoria's Secret model, and it's like, dude, you know, you've got to be able to bring something to the table yourself if you're going to be, you know, calling that in for yourself.
Right. Exactly. Like I'm just really curious. Like, you know, we're sort of heading this way, so I'm just curious of like how long is too long of like messaging back and forth, because that is a huge issue too, with like, especially like somehow YouTube has been recommending the Catfish show, and I'm just like so surprised of like how many people stay in this sort of texting conversation for months, from like 4 or 5 months without even getting on the phone. So like, what do you say to your guys? How do you coach people around this of like, you know, how to move past the online texting to get to an actual conversation on the phone or seeing them in person? Like, what are your thoughts, and how do you get people to move beyond the app and texting?
First of all, 4 or 5 months for real? It was going on that long?
I can't believe it myself. They haven't even met this person and they're still messaging each other for extensive amounts of time.
Wow. You know, with me, I set a rule for myself when I was still dating, because I had lost so many really good opportunities over text because I was taking too damn long to ask them out, right? People, especially in New York City, like we live busy lives, right? We don't want to wait around. We can't even wait in a Starbucks line for 2 minutes without going crazy. Right? You expect us to wait 2 weeks while you work up the courage to ask us out? No, it's not going to happen, right? Yeah. What I say to my people is that you use text solely as a means to set up a date. And that's it, right? You may exchange a couple of lines of witty banter right here, but after like the second or third line, we're planning that date. Yeah. Right? Good. Because I don't want a text buddy. I didn't get into this to just text somebody and to get into a pen pal relationship long distance. I got into this because I actually wanted to meet you in the flesh and see if there's something there, right? So if you are on the apps for the same reason, you have got to make that your priority. You have got to make that your goal, and you've got to do that while the iron is hot.
Right.
If you wait too long, then they're going to be on to the next person. You know how many people are on Tinder and Bumble? You know how many people are messaging a typical woman? She could have 10 guys work up the courage to ask her out, and you're left out in the cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so what is like, so they're in communication, they're texting, like, so what do you say, like, get them on the phone first? Or, because for me, like, I like to like have a conversation on the phone first, because I'm like, can't even, like, if I can't even have a conversation on the phone, like, God knows what the date is going to be like, you know. So what is your thoughts on like getting on the phone first or the date first? Like, does it matter?
You know, I find that it really depends on the girl. With me, I like to push for the date relatively soon. But I know a few women have asked me, hey, you know, do you mind if we speak on the phone first? And I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. I used to, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I kind of came up in kind of the pickup artist field. I have since vastly moved away from that.
Yeah.
But you know, I was always taught back then that, you know, oh, if a girl wants to talk on the phone, that's a bad sign, bro. That means she's not really digging you, bro. Like, if she was really digging you, she'd want to go out right away.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, I know that that's BS now, because if anything, I know that if a woman wants to talk to me on the phone before a date, that's actually a higher level of investment on her part than many of the other women who I was speaking to. Right. So if a girl wants to speak on the phone, I say go for it. And I say, don't be afraid of it. It's just another way of building that comfort with her. Mm-hmm. It's just another way of building a little bit more rapport with her before you go out on the date. She wants to know who you are, you know. You gotta put yourself in her shoes. You know, this is like a 5'3", 5'4" girl, right? And she has no idea like how big or how strong you are. She has no idea what kind of guy is going to show up to those dates, and you know what his personality is, what his temperament is. All she knows is a couple of photos and a couple of lines of text.
Right, and it's all about from my conversation with women, they just want to feel safe. Like, they want to feel comfortable when they go on a date with you. They don't, it's just another way for them feeling safe with so many of, you know, with this sort of thing happening now, and with sex trafficking and making drugs. And, you know, even in my cousin who lives in Miami, she told me about all these situations with friends who would go on dates and be sort of manipulated to go one way and not the other, that they have to like be extra cautious because there's so many dangers for women versus a man. So a woman wants to feel safe and comfortable with you in order to just relax on the date.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I think that, you know, with all the stuff that's happening, the examples you mentioned, and even just like you know, like what's been going on recently with, you know, Harvey Weinstein, right? The same exact thing. You know, you've got all these kind of situations going on. And you're right. Women want to know that they are safe, right? Yeah. They want to feel safe. So if having a phone call is going to help her feel safer, then you do it. It's 15 minutes out of your time. I think you can spare it. Yeah. You know?
That's so awesome, Bo. I really appreciate all the knowledge that you have given me. So we're going to ask a couple of quick questions before we end here, and I just love to get your quick thoughts about it. So what does a life of love mean to you?
What does a life of love mean to me? A life of love means being able to get up every morning, right? Look at my partner in the face and know that, you know, whatever's going on in our lives, whether we're in a good time or whether we're in a bad time, that our appreciation for each other, our love for each other is stronger than anything that the environment can throw at us. And no matter what happens, we are going to overcome. I have the confidence to know that we are going to overcome. We're going to push through it, and we're going to exit out of that even stronger than ever.
Wow, I love that. And how do you get out of your own way?
How do I get out of my own way? like the old Nike saying, just do it, right? Another thing that I say is when my brain starts to give me doubts, I literally go to my brain, I just say, shut up, brain. You know, shut up and just go. Shut up and just go. That's all you can do, right? I mean, really, what is the worst that can happen, right? Someone says no, or someone says, oh, you know, I'm not really interested. Big deal.
Yeah.
You know how many women are out there in the world? Like, this is another thing. This is another mistake. If we could get into this for just a little.
Sure.
Another mistake that guys make, they get 2 or 3 women on conversation, and then those 2 or 3 women disappear, and they're like, online dating sucks. I can't meet anybody. I'm like, dude, you talked to 3 women.
Yeah.
You know how many women are on this app that you haven't talked to, that you haven't ever messaged?
Yeah.
You know how many women are out there in the, never mind online. Just go outside. Just join a club, go out to a bar, go do whatever. You know how many women are out there?
Yeah.
Like, you could approach, someone told me this once, you could approach 50 women a day, every day, without a single day off, including Christmas, right? And it would take you something like 1,700 years to approach even 1/10 of the current female population.
Wow. That's a crazy statistic.
Literally never run out of people to talk to.
And the rejection too is basically, because I used to get so frustrated with rejection too, but I was like, you know what? I'm just like, they're just saying no to me, and I was saying, which is saying yes to me. Like, I'm just one more person closer to finding the person I want to be with. Like, I'm not gonna take this personally. Rejection becomes a part of the game or a part of this whole experience, and I'm just like, for me, I'm like, oh, thank you for saying no. Now I'll have to waste my time with somebody who's not meant for me. So I just learned how to flip that in my brain and not take rejection personally for me.
Yeah, it's like, and another analogy is one that my coach used with me, and he goes, imagine that out of every woman in the world, there's only 10 of them. You give a suitcase, right, to every woman in the world. Mm-hmm. And in 10 of those suitcases that 10 of those women are carrying is going to be $1 billion. Some women may have $1 million, some women may have 1,000, and some may have nothing in their briefcase, right? So you go, you approach one, you say, hey, can I look in your briefcase? Nothing. Can I look in your briefcase? Nothing, right? And you may get 100 or 200 nothings, and then the 101st one, you go up, you open that case, and there's $1 billion in there.
Yeah.
You know, so how are you, you know, if you give up, you will never know that if that next case had the $1 billion in it.
Right. And the rejection is really not even about you. It's like they're in their own world, their own issues, you know. And I really makes me think about when I used to be an actor, how this casting director, she told us this story about how she would bring in the best actors for this director, and they were at primary stages, and it's one of those prestigious like theater places in New York, and how the director wouldn't even look at a specific person if they didn't have MFA. She was like, wait, this is the best person. This is a great person. He's like, no, she looks too much like my ex. No, she looks too much like this person. And like, people would basically reject you based off of what you remind them of, and you have no control of that. Like, you have to just literally move on the next thing because they're stuck in their own world, their own thing. So you just like on to the next. And to me right now, I just laugh at what people reject each other or even me by within dating. So I just don't even take it personally anymore. I just learn how to take things lightly and then make great stories later. That's what I do.
Exactly.
So that's the questions like, so what does a juicy love life look like to you?
Something where, you know, we just get each other. And I know that's not going to sound really juicy, but to me, that's the juiciest of all.
That's
got someone who actually gets you. When you come home after a hard day's work right? And instead of having somebody criticizing you, right? Instead of having somebody, yell at you, scream at you some more, they're there to greet you with a hug and a kiss. And there's like, baby, why don't we go out and we do this tonight? Why don't we go here? Why don't we go take a boat ride here? Why don't we go this, to get your mind off of it, right? That to me is a juicy love life, where you have somebody where you come home to them and it's a wonderful feeling. No matter what kind of day you had before, that when you get home, things are going to get better.
Wow.
A lot of people are saying, oh, well, you're not thinking big enough. But to me, that's it right there. I don't need anything more than that.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Just being gotten just makes everything else, less important. Like that's beautiful. I love what you said. And last question, where can people find you online?
You can find me at my blog, ageofattraction.com, where I post every 2 days a new post. And also there's my Instagram, Coach Michael 22, and also my website, nogamenecessary.com.
Okay. Awesome, Mike. Well, thank you so much for just being here and just like with all your knowledge and your experience and just being such a great vessel for men to just step into like their greatness. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. It's again a pleasure to be here on the podcast. I really had a great time today. Thank you.
Yeah, me too, man.